You have to find a dream that's so big that it overwhelms all of your fears and causes you to never give up. Everybody on the way to where you're trying to get to, you have a decision that one day you can go forward or you turn back. The problem is the average person turns back from their dream.
You have the vision. You believe in the vision. You are sure, positive, that if other people could see your vision, they would be amazed.
Your goals and dreams have to be bigger than your problems. If you're going through hell, keep going. I mean, why would you stop there? You know, I was in hell, so why stop now? If you're going through hell, you should keep going.
Where you get to the next level of your life is keep going. Keep going, keep running. Even when you don't even know, even it turns into chaos. You cannot be great if you cannot operate in chaos.
You have to want something so big that it wakes you up in the middle of the night. You have to want something so big that you think about it all the time. That it drives you to wake up when you don't want to. It keeps you up at night when you long been sleepy. It makes you show up, do things you wouldn't normally do. It requires extra.
How many times in your life have you gone through something you thought you wasn't gonna make it? What you have to do is to be steady in the storm. If you're steady, you're gonna outlast it. If you're steady, you're gonna outlive it. If you're not steady, it's only because you don't have the faith to believe that there's something on the other side of it.
So easy to put things off. So easy to say, you're gonna do it tomorrow. Well, I want you to reprogram your brain and tell yourself that tomorrow is not a viable option. Tomorrow doesn't work. You do it today. You get it done today. That's what you do.
Always go to something bigger than yourself. My problem is so many times you've thrown big ideas at small people.
You know, having faith, you know, that you're doing what you're supposed to be doing is one thing, but you got to believe that this is your destiny and this is what you're supposed to be doing in life, you know, if you really want it. And I think as a human, sometimes you feel like you always got to wait for the right time, what makes sense to you to actually start executing, to actually stop making excuses, to doing the things that you always really wanted to do. You know, and I'm guilty of that. I'm starting to find myself now being like, nah, there is no right time to do anything. You just got to start doing.
Until you have had the taste of finishing, you will not respect yourself. Until you follow through, until something is done, tears and struggles and pain, and you go through it anyway, and you show up and you continue to fight on no matter the circumstances. After a while, something begins to wither inside of you. It's an urge. Every president has felt it. Every king has felt it. Every lion has felt it. Every winner has felt it. Every soldier has felt it. Every victorious person has felt it. The urge to quit. Don't you give up on your dream.
It was very difficult to pick myself up each day believing that I could do it. There were times that I doubted myself.
There are many people who have the limitations in their minds, who have lost that fire in their eyes, who because of the experiences of life have said, no, I can't do that.
A lot of people never try anything differently because when they thought about doing something at some critical point in their life, somebody they respected and honored, someone they trusted said, you can't do that. And they accepted that.
Most people aren't obsessed with their goals because they don't believe they're worthy of them. It's easy to dream about what you want.
We're all looking for this golden purpose. Is it this? Is it that? Is it making money? Because the purpose is you. Every fucking day I wake up and I don't want to do some fucking shit. Do you want to walk around all day knowing that you could, but you didn't?
What I do tell people is to get after it. I tell people to do the things that they know they're supposed to do. There's things that you know you're supposed to do as a human being. Things that you know are going to improve your life. Do those things. There's things that you know are going to make you a worse person and make your life worse. Don't do those things.
You have to start living your life in expectation. You have got to start expecting great things to happen for you in order for it to happen. If you live your life in expectations, that's what happens to you. If you live your life in despair, that's what happens to you.
How did this have to happen to me? It was very hard. And here's what I want to say to you. For those of you that have experienced some hardships, don't give up on your dream.
50% of women is showing up for the fight. The fight is half over when you show up. You'll never win a fight you don't show up for. I'm showing up for this. Here I am, ready for duty. I am through hiding in the shadows for fear that I might fail. I'm gonna face this head on and let the chips fall where they may.
Telling yourself every day, here I go again, and I got what it takes. This is my day, and nothing out here is going to stop me.
You have to eat the dream. You have to sleep the dream. You have to dream the dream. You have to see it when nobody else sees it. You have to believe it when you cannot see it.
There's more in you right now that's represented in your bank account. There's more in you right now that's being reflected by your life right now. Your life is not a true reflection of your potential. You have greatness within you. You have the ability to do more than you can ever begin to imagine.
There is no shame in wanting something. This whole world is based on wanting something. You've got to discover your gift, and when you discover it, you got to soak it. You got to wring it out, man. You got to diversify it. Most of us only have one talent. But do you know that that's all you need?
Nobody believes in you. You've lost again and again and again. The lights are cut off, but you're still looking at your dream, reviewing it every day, and say to yourself, it's not over until I win.
If you just understood the principle of success, you could be successful. It don't matter what. Anybody can be successful. You just gotta adhere to a few things. And what you gotta adhere to is not hard. The hard part is believing that it's applicable to you. But everybody is designed to be successful. You just gotta get out your way sometime.
Suppose this day is all that's left. Suppose wherever you come from, you won't have time to return there and say bye-bye, and how will you use your time? If you have this attitude, that kind of earnestness, I think a lot of things will change, and so much for better. Nothing to carry over, no account for tomorrow, everything today.
You've made no progress. None. You never moved. You might even be further from your goal than you were. Why? Why did you let that happen? You think to yourself, maybe I can't do it. And so you give up. You let it fade. And you settle. You settle for mediocrity. You settle for average. You settle for, oh well. But no. Don't do that.
Man, life's short. Go harder than you did last year. Whatever you thought you did, it wasn't enough. Go harder and find a way to enjoy it. That's when you mastered the game.
Every problem that we have can be looked at two ways. We can look at it as a difficulty to get rid of, or we can look at it as a message from our true selves. Any problem comes along,
Yo, what's going on, guys?
Yo.
Yo, yo. What's up?
All right, let's get some cameras on. When is the movie starting?
Uh,
So
It feels like I entered the
it's starting
cinema
now,
or
mate.
something.
Yeah, we
Where's the
probably
real
have some more
estate?
people coming on as well. I think there's some people joining in their cars soon, Javier. So I'll do. Do you want me to do a quick intro and then we'll get into it?
yes. Give me one moment. All right.
No worries. Yeah, I don't think there was a link in the invite, so I did share it around again, guys. Let me just do another share around. Can you see it in the closer channel?
All right. There we go, baby. Look,
Here he
everyone's
is.
everyone's so excited. Let me get some smiles. Let me get some smiles. Guys, come on, man. That wasn't no video. That's just some motivational before we get into this, baby. David told me to hike you guys up, man. Good to meet everyone. We got a lot of you guys joining here. So 14 of you guys, 14 action takers showed up today. I love it. What do we got in here? We got Fireflies, Hunter, yeah, LC, Logan, Mac. Appreciate all you guys coming in. Paul, Ryan, Sophia, Tanner, you guys rock. I love it. I love it.
Should have some more people coming in as well. Coming in.
Yeah. Yeah, so on my screen, that's why I put sit back and enjoy the music for a sec. So that way we can get everyone in here, rounded up and stuff like that. Go ahead and David, if you want to start on a really quick intro. I mean, I'm gonna do one myself, but go ahead if you want to do a really quick intro. Can you fix your hair for us really quick, please?
Yeah, for sure, man. Anything for you. Just got it cut. All right. Hunter, are you going for this haircut, Hunter? Gonna get a bit of a slick back and fade for you, I think. Get rid of those locks.
Probably not. Where's David?
All right. Well,
love it, man.
I've known Javier for 5 years, guys. We actually are partners on a couple of real estate deals. He actually got me into real estate about 5 years. I think it was about 5 years ago, actually.
Yeah, about 5-6 years. Time flies.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was good. I think one thing that really, well, the position where I was at 5 years ago, guys, the reason why I think this is really relevant for a lot of you was like I was working a corporate sales job. Like I've been doing this for the last 10 years, right? But about 5 years ago, and then I was in stocks. Like I was just parking like every month I'd save, put money in a paycheck every month in stocks. And yeah, I don't know, but it was just growing so slowly, first of all. And it just felt like I had no control over it. Like it was just going up and down every month. And it felt like fucking hell, I'm going to be doing this for like 50 years. Right. So I kind of just thought there was like a better option out there. I stumbled into Javier at a party actually. And so it must be kind of like law of attraction or something. But I basically had been saving all my money over the last 5 years. I was earning a lot less than you guys at the time. I was still able to save, I don't know, like $500 a month, whatever, $1,000 a month. And basically over 5 years, I built up some kind of nest egg in the stocks account. And then it just, like I said, I met Javier and he convinced me to put all of it in a house and basically live on one side and rent the other out. And then that's kind of how my real estate journey started there. I don't want to go into too much detail, but I think what it now gives me a lot of purpose every day because I have a plan. So the reason why I work so hard and never give up and, you know, always just keep pushing is because I already have a predestined plan in the next 5 years to be financially free. And you've got to have a plan to be able to do sales because otherwise you just come in every day, month after month. If you're just burning your money, not saving it, not investing it, at some point you're just going to burn out with no plan, right? So the goal of this is actually to kind of help you guys have a plan. And if you don't have a plan right now, that's fine because I didn't start till I was 30 anyway, right? So a lot of you guys are way younger than me. We're in a way better position financially anyway. So yeah, it's a bit of an intro. I'll let Javier kind of kick it off. We wanted to go into a few things today and we can do more of these sessions as well. Since I know him, like he'd jump on any time. He has his own kind of community as well, but yeah, he'll go into a few different options today and then more of a Q&A as well. He's very knowledgeable about different ways of investing, whether you're in the US, whether you're not in the US. there's multiple different options, right? So yeah, Javi, anything you want to add to that? Otherwise, I'll let you kind of take it away.
Oh man, it's been awesome to see you grow, man. You've been killing it, man. You've been taking that blueprint that I've showed you and you've really put it to use. And that's the biggest thing here, guys. You guys are gonna get to collaborate with me and learn more about real estate. Really quick, for all you guys, drop a 1 in the chat if you do not own any real estate. Give me a 1. We're gonna make this a little interactive, guys. All right, all right. So I would say we got 18 people in here. Give me a 1 if you're just getting in here and you don't own any real estate or you don't know anything about real estate. All right, so I would say that's the majority of you guys. So today I wrote down some stuff for you guys. I'm going to be deep diving into the following things just to kind of go over a really quick agenda so you guys know what you'll get out of this. So I'm going to go over house hacking. One of the big things I got David into was house hacking, and that's how he started his real estate journey. And believe it or not, that's actually how I started my real estate journey back in 2015. We're going to talk about exactly what house hacking is and how you monetize house hacking. I'm going to talk about some examples. I'm going to talk about semi-passive income and passive income streams in real estate. And for you guys who probably have done some preliminary stuff learning about real estate, there's so many different ways to skin the cat, but we're going to specifically talk about how do we get you guys your first deal. Okay. So we're going to talk about strategies. There's many different exit strategies when it comes to real estate investing. I'm sure a lot of you guys have heard of Airbnb. Some of you guys have heard of the old school way of real estate investing, which is long-term rentals, right? Some of you guys are probably renters right now. So you're a tenant, you rent from a landlord. So we're going to talk about some of those things. We're also going to deep dive a little bit into your 5-year plan. What is your 5-year plan? What are you really looking to get out of working at 7th level? What are you going to do? How are you going to leverage the money that you're making today? And then we're also going to go and close it out with some tax strategies that we implement in our businesses. David is implementing some of them as we speak. I think you just did your first cost egg, David, is that right?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So we'll get into a little bit about that stuff, what that looks like, guys, and how you can start strategizing how real estate investing can actually help you save on your taxes, your property taxes. And then we're going to close it out, guys, with a Q&A at the very end. And before I get into any of this, let me just kind of tell you a little bit about me, how long I've been doing this and where I'm from. I'm actually in Orlando, Florida right now. So if you guys ever come to Disney World, let me know. I'd definitely love to collaborate with you guys. David knows I love collaborating with people, especially if you're really new looking into getting in real estate. I love collaborating with you guys. Been in the industry since 2015. I actually started out as a sales rep. I'm pretty sure like a lot of you guys are sales rep. I was a sales rep. I was a real estate agent. And one of the things that I wanted to solve as being a real estate agent was I was only as good as my next deal. Even though I was making all these fat checks, I didn't know where to put my money until I had a business partner at the time, and he was investing in real estate. So I didn't want to be like the guy, like door knocking, Kirby vacuum guy, didn't own the product that he was selling, right? So I started investing into the product that I was selling, which was real estate. I became a realtor. And that was for the first 2 years. And I finally got my first deal, which was actually an FHA, the government loan. I went to a bank, I got a loan, 3.5% down. And it's crazy because you can actually get 97% leverage on a property a bank will give you in order to buy a home. My first deal that I bought was a duplex. Each side was a 2-bedroom, 1-bath, okay? And then the side that I lived on, I actually house hacked the side that I lived on as well, which was a 2-bedroom, 1-bath. And the other side I Airbnb at the time. This is back in 2015. So I scaled my real estate sales business. And so to this day, I actually still own a listing sales company out of Orlando, Florida, where we actually only list properties for sellers. That's all I do. I don't ever deal with buyers anymore. I have a buyer's agent. They take care of that. Okay. One of the other businesses I have is I have an STR management company where I actually manage properties. So I have a management company, I have a listing sales company, and then I also have my portfolio of real estate. So even though that I have these businesses over here, which are my property management company that I own, and I also own my real estate sales business, these are huge cash businesses. And these are businesses where they're active income. But I'm very leveraged and I have a team. And that's why my main focus right today is all I do is focus on buying assets. Some of the asset classes I'm buying into right now are RV parks, multifamily, 100 units plus. But you're probably wondering like, oh no, that's not what I want to get into. Well, single family is where I started, and single family is where a lot of you guys will start. And I created all those businesses, and now I've been so leveraged where I'm just focused on solely investing in real estate. So I want to talk to you guys about that first deal that I bought, which is an FHA property with 3.5% down. And we're going to talk about what it looks like for individuals like you guys who are maybe W-2, or maybe you're self-employed and you're 1099 and you don't have 2 years income. I already know what you're thinking. For the 1099 people in here who don't have 2 years income, you're probably like, you know what? I did try to go to a bank. I probably tried to get a pre-approval, but it didn't work. Okay. Well, the beautiful thing about that is I'm going to go into some other type of deals that I'm going to get David into here shortly, which are called creative finance. I don't know if you guys anybody ever heard of seller finance? Subject to? Yes, no? I see somebody shaking their head. Give me a 1 in the chat, Logan. I see you shaking your head a little bit. Give me a little bit of a smile, man. Everyone's so serious in here, man. You guys are intimidating. All right, cool. So Logan's heard about seller finance substitute. It's just like you guys. When you guys are selling your product to the consumer and you say, hey, we'll take payments, right? You give us a small down payment and we'll take and collect the rest of the money on the back end, right? Maybe break it out into 4 payments, 3 payments, whatever. You can actually do that same exact strategy, but with a different product, which is a house. So going back to what I've just said, the first property I bought was a 3.5% down. You only need 3.5% down of a home purchase price in order to get into a property. You could go 3%, 3.5% down, or you can go 5% down conventional. Now, this is just using banks, guys. This is the traditional way of real estate investing or house hacking. And at the time, I knew that for me, I was a single individual. I didn't have a family. I knew that house hacking was the way. And a lot of you guys who are renters, if you think about this, what is some of your biggest expenses in life? Most of it is cars and cost of living. The average rent across a nation is $1,800 a month. That's for a 1-bedroom. Okay. You times that by 12. What happens if I told you we can take that money that you spend every single month and we can now get you in a position to where you no longer have to spend $1,800 a month? Or let's say you offset 40, 50, 60% of that because you're leveraging another part of the home. Now, one of the things I mentioned was I bought a duplex. And I know in most markets, if you're looking in the traditional market, like MLS, Zillow, Trulia, Realtor.com, I know in most markets, it's very hard to find small multifamily. This is called small multifamily. It's considered small multifamily. Anything with more than 1 door is considered multifamily, right? 2 units or more. And so the way you solve that problem is it's just like David did. He would take a home, and I've taken homes where we've put up walls, right? Because maybe you don't want to share a home. And I know a lot of you guys are probably thinking, well, man, I don't want to share my home with a stranger. Now, and I know what you're thinking, and that sucks. And I had to do that at a lot of points in my life. But sometimes you just have to get uncomfortable, and you have to get, to a point where it's like, you know what, I'm going to make the sacrifice in order to go ahead and get into a home to save that $1,800 a month. And that's a natural average. Some of you guys are probably spending $2,500 a month or $3,000 a month. I don't know, but I'm just going based on national average. So if you realize the national average, the median home price is about $412,000. If you can come up with at least 3.5% down of $412,000, you can get into a home. And then you're going to have the other half of the group might say, you know what? I'm still trying to get my income where it's 2 years of 1099 where I can get a bank to qualify and approve me for a home loan. Well, guess what? I was in that same exact position. When I became a realtor and I started in the industry in 2015, I've been in the industry now for 10 years and I've been in real estate investing since 2017. I actually had that same mindset where I was like, you know what? I can only buy a home traditionally going through the bank, Bank of America, Chase, or some financial institution who would trust me to borrow money. And that's actually the way I started, was going through that bank. But I want you guys to know, if you're in this room and maybe you're a 1099, do we have a lot of 1099s in here, David? Throw one in the chat if you're a 1099 employee. 1099, 1099.
Yeah, I would say as
Okay.
well, Javier, just so you have a good sense of direction as well, is we got international people as well. So definitely when you
fine.
talk about
That's
some of
fine.
the creative stuff, that'd be good.
So perfect, because I deal with a lot of internationals, so that's fine. Okay, so we have a good portion, 25, 30% of the room's 1099.
Everyone.
So right now, okay,
Pretty much.
everyone. Okay, perfect. So you know better than I do, Dave. So right now, guys, if you don't know, if you go to try to get a regular bank loan, the banks they're gonna want you to submit 2 years of tax returns in. And what they're gonna do is they're gonna take the average of 2 years of income. So let's say you made 100K this year and the next year you only make 25. Well, they're gonna divide that by 24 months to see what your average is. Because with us 1099 employees, like I'm a 1099 employee too, so I can relate to you guys, right? So they don't trust us because we don't make predictable income. Majority of our income, 1 month we might make XYZ, let's say 10K, the next month we might make 3K, right? And so it fluctuates. So banks look at us like higher risk, okay? So here's the beautiful thing about it. And one of the things that I've gotten in my tool belt in the last 2.5 years, it took me years to learn the strategies that I'm about to speak of, which is seller finance and subject to. Because we're all trained to, like, for instance, if you want to watch a movie, you go to the movies typically. If you want to buy a car, you go to the dealership. If you want to buy a piece of real estate, you go to the realtor and you go to a bank. Well, guess what? The beautiful thing about this is, guys, for those of you guys who are watching this and listening to this, you actually don't need to use a bank at all to buy a piece of real estate. And a lot of you guys are probably like, what the hell is this guy talking about? There's no way. There's no way. Well, guys, I've been doing it for 2.5 years because it took me a while to learn the strategy I'm about to tell you, which all my deals that I'm buying right now in the climate that we're in, I'm buying all my deals right now, seller finance or subject to. Seller finance, very simple. I'm dealing with sellers and the seller has a property. Typically they own free and clear. We're structuring a note and a mortgage against the property. I'm buying the property. We upgrade that landlord from landlord to bank, right? We're paying them in installments every single month. Just like you guys sell the 7th level training. You guys are going to the consumer. Hey, you don't have 20K? Okay, no problem. We'll put a small down payment and we'll break it up into payments to get that person to close, right? Same thing with seller finance. Now you're probably wondering, you're probably like, well, Javier, I don't have the know-how. I don't have the skill set. I don't have the time and energy to learn all that stuff. Well, that's okay, because I'm going to help you guys find a deal. If you guys are super serious about getting your next deal or whatever market you're in nationwide, I don't care if you're watching this from Africa, UK, whatever. If you want to buy deals in United States, I'm going to help you guys accomplish that, whether that's a primary residence or an investment property. So if you're ready to qualify, you can qualify through a bank. You can do and go through a bank, a financial institution to go ahead and get your asset secured, whether that's a primary or investment property. But if you don't and you can't qualify through a bank because maybe you have been writing all your taxes or you've been writing everything off in your tax returns and you're not showing anything on paper, well, guess what? That's okay. We're going to buy deals either seller finance or we're going to buy deals subject to. Now, you guys are probably wondering what subject to is. You see that little peace sign behind me? Subject to is where you're buying properties that already have existing mortgages against them, right? So for instance, scenario number 1, which is seller finance, I didn't have to deal with a bank. There's no bank involved. I just had money that I was able to transact with and do a deal directly with the seller. With subject to is you're buying 123 Main Street there's a mortgage in place and you're taking over that underlying mortgage. And we're going to get into more of that in a second at the end, because I'm sure a lot of you guys are having questions, right, on that. Why would a seller want to do this? The reason why a seller would want to do this, yes, Pace Morby, Tanner. This is where I learned all my strategies from. Pace Morby, he's one of my mentors, okay? But why would a seller want to do this? A seller would want to sell their property via subject to is because there's two reasons. Either there's financial pain or they're low equity. We're in a market, we're in a climate, a real estate market that has changed so drastically these last 12 months. A lot of sellers are at a point where they need to sell their home and they don't have enough equity. They can't pay a realtor 8 to 12% to sell their home. The national average to sell a home is anywhere between 8 to 12%, right? By the time you pay realtor fees, by the time you pay closing costs, by the time you give that buyer, the seller consent or the buyer concessions, you're paying anywhere between 8 to 12%. So they don't have enough equity in their home to sell the home with a traditional real estate agent. That's what I'm saying, guys. Everyone thinks very black and white. Hey, I want to sell my home. I'm going to call a real estate agent. They don't realize they can actually sell a home to an investor like myself, and I can actually curate that for my portfolio, or you guys can curate it. We can curate it together and get you guys a homestead property. That mortgage, let's say the mortgage on 123 Main Street's in Susie Q's name. That would actually stay in place in her name. Nothing changes. That stays in place. And the beautiful thing about that is the reason why this is advantageous for you guys is because seller finance and subject to are the two methods that you guys will be able to buy real estate right now. If you guys working at 7th level don't have a plan to buy real estate, which is the best asset class in the world, I promise you. David just mentioned a second ago, oh, I bought into stocks. A lot of you guys are probably thinking, well, I got some cash. I've been throwing it at Apple or I've been throwing it at Tesla. The problem is if you buy a share at 150 a share, you cannot manipulate stocks. That's it. You buy at that share, that's it. You're done. You're stuck. With real estate, once you start getting the recipe of real estate, understanding these things, guys, every time you make a payment every single month, whether that's you or your tenant, that's an investment property, you get loan paid out. You get 27.5-year depreciation on your taxes. You get future appreciation. By the way, you know how the market went bananas these past couple of years? I have properties I bought at 280, 300 that are now worth $600,000. What's happened, guys? My net worth has shot up, okay? So a lot of people say, hey, money doesn't grow on trees. Those are just 3 of the small examples. I mean, I can really go on and on and on and deep dive in why you should own a piece of real estate. And I'm sure some of you guys have probably been doing some preliminary research and stuff like that. But the goal here is if you don't have 2 years of income of tax returns, we need to get you guys into a seller finance or a subject to property. That way you guys can buy today. You can end those leases today and you could start your journey of home ownership. Super important, okay? When we house hacking can look a lot of different ways, guys. For instance, use David as a prime example. David likes to rent half his property that he's living at on Airbnb, right? He'll put up a wall or he'll have a ADU, which is an accessory dwelling unit, and he'll rent that out either long-term or an Airbnb, whatever makes most sense for him. When I first started, when I got into the game, 2015, and I bought my first deal, which was that duplex that I keep talking about. I actually lived on one side and I house hacked the other side. But you know what was funny? I was so money hungry at the time. I was like, you know what? Even though that the other side is paying my mortgage, the side that I'm living on, I actually have one extra bedroom. You know what I end up doing? I end up taking that bedroom and I rented it out as well for $750 a month. So not only was that other side paying my mortgage, I had no living expenses, right? And I was cash flowing like $6K a year. It's amazing. So I want you guys to think about one thing. What would it look like? Think about this deep for a second. Pull out your calculators. What would it look like? You take your how much you're paying in rent, whether it's a room rental, apartment rental, a house rental, a RV rental, I don't care. Wherever you're living right now, you have to pay to live there. I want you to times that by 12 and give me the number that you come up with. And everyone give me an answer. No one pays for rent? Or is no one paying attention?
Definitely some. 28,600.
28,600. Jonathan. Okay. Jonathan, what would your life look like differently? Think about this. I don't know what you make, but I want you to figure out what 28,600, what percent of your income is that annually? How can we work together to find you a deal to where you can now offset either all of that or majority of that and get that money and take it? And now you have liquid capital to do whatever you want, right? You can go travel. You can support maybe a family member. You can take that money and invest it into more real estate deals. You can take that money and invest it into stocks, which I don't recommend. Again, you could take that money, and if you had that liquid money, 20K, 18, we have another 20K, 18. This is a lot of money, guys. What would it look like if I can tell you that you have that amount of money, you can have a stash away, and now you can invest into your future, whether that's a retirement account. Not a big fan of those either, but whether that's a retirement account, whether that's a piece of real estate, maybe you're helping a family member out, whether you want to go on vacation with that, or maybe it's self-improvement, right? You guys are working with 7-Level. You guys, I'm sure a lot of you guys are into self-development and self-improvement. I am, David is, personally for me, I love to travel the world. David, every once in a while I get a message from David. He's like, hey mate, how come you're always on vacations? And I'm like, dude, because I hack the system, right? Life's all about finding these little hacks. How do I spend my points, right? It's another conversation, but the reason why is because I have the ability to have liquid capital that I can go and enjoy myself 4, 5, 10 times a year if I want to. I'm in that position, okay? And where I'm at today is, one of the other things that I added on to my tool belt was that creative finance. Tanner mentioned earlier, he said, oh, Pace Morby, great. That's one of my coaches. I have a self-development coach. So with me having all my extra money, what do? I buy self-improvement. I believe in that, right? I'm part of another mentorship right now where we focus on commercial deals. So the biggest thing here, guys, is the people who doesn't have 2 years of tax returns? Drop a 1 in the chat. Who doesn't have 2 years of tax returns? 2 years of tax returns, right? So you're going to wait for 2 years before you can qualify through a bank? Do you want home ownership? Does anybody want home ownership? Drop a 2 if you want to be a homeowner. Homeowner or an investor? Oh, we got a 3. What's a 3? I didn't say 3, but all right. We got Jonathan. All right, we got 3. All right. I need to pull up Jonathan's camera. We got to get him on stage, man. This guy.
Dude, that was accident. That was accident, man.
Oh, okay, cool. We got one guy smiling. All right. Got the tats. He's all tatted up. But the point here, guys, is how do we mitigate your living expenses, your cars? Like, I know a lot of you guys are either probably starting out in 7-Level. I know 7-Level is a great company where you can make 40, 50, 60K a month. My question is what are you going to do with all that money, right? You're in sales. Like, you're only as good as your next sale, right? You need to be able to take that money and move it somewhere. And a piece of real estate giving you all these different benefits is the best place to move it into. Because at the end of the day, guys, you have to pay to live anyways. You might as well get loan pay down on your mortgage, because the mortgage you're paying right now actually isn't in your name. It's in your landlord's name. Even though you're paying rent wherever you're living, whether that's the RV, the mobile home park, I don't care where you're living, you're paying to live. And so my strategy, guys, is I own all these properties. And guess what? I get people like you guys. You guys are the ones going out to work to pay my bills, right? Think about that for a second, right? People that live and rent from me spend 30 to 40% of their life working for me, even though they don't work directly for me. Sad to think. But we have to come up with a plan. We have to come up with a strategy, because if you just go the day by day and you're just like, you know what, showing up today, made a lot of money, I made a lot of calls, whatever the case is, again, it's just the rat race. We have to start getting you guys to start taking your money and getting it back. That way you could take it and start investing into what you really want to invest to, whether it's real estate or not. I always recommend, always try to buy something that you have leverage, like start out with a duplex, triplex, or a quadplex. Single family, personally, is great, but only if you're going to house hack it. I'm not a big fan of single family if you're 100% paying the mortgage yourself, because at the end of the day, the truth is it's a liability. It's like you having a Corvette or you having a Ferrari. I want you guys to be able to take away, one of the big takeaways here is, if you buy a single family home, you're either renting out some of the bedrooms, you're putting a wall up, or you're buying something with an ADU, accessory dwelling unit. That way you can Airbnb or do a co-living style. Okay. One of the things I didn't mention earlier is I actually own a huge co-living portfolio as well, where I provide housing for people who actually can't afford housing for the basic job force. Okay. So I want you to think, how do we get you guys in the position to where you're owning a piece of real estate? Most of you guys just told me, hey, we don't have 2 years of tax returns. Well, guess what? You hang up this call. What is the actionable step? The actionable step is you calling the bank. Well, the bank's just going to turn you guys down. Let me save your breath already. The bank is just going to turn you down. Oh, by the way, guys, good luck. Whoever's in UK right now, good luck. You're not coming to US to bring it's just not going to happen. And even if you were to get a foreign loan, they're going to charge you 20, 30%. So going back to creative finance, because this is what I really want to push on you guys. Like, you guys can use the bank loans. That's okay. That's how I got started. If you can qualify, that's fine. Let's go that route. But you guys, most of you guys can't qualify. So what we need to do is we need to get you guys either in a subject to deal, whatever market you're in. It doesn't matter what market you're in. We'll start a spreadsheet. We'll get everyone's buying criteria, and then we'll put it in a spreadsheet, and then we're going to find you guys a deal. Do one for David right now. Okay. He's on me every day. Hey, Mike, what's going on with that deal, that next deal? I'm getting a bonus from Jeremy this month. All right. I got you, bro. I got you. All right. So the key is here is we're going to get you guys into your first deal, whether that's a sub to or a seller finance deal in whatever markets you guys are in. That way you guys can start getting into these deals at, 5 or 10% down, depending on the deal, right? Every deal is different. They all have a different story. So house hacking, everybody knows what house hacking is in here. Does anybody have any confusion before I go on about house hacking? You're taking a property, you're either putting a wall up, or you're buying a property with a mother-in-law suite, or you're buying a property with the ADU. ADU is accessory dwelling unit. Does anybody else have any confusion about what house hacking is? Pretty straightforward. Okay. So we talked about renting out the rooms. We talked about purchasing small multifamily. That's how I got started. And let's talk about semi-passive income. I don't like to call it passive income because you're truly never 100% passive. But think about this. If you guys continue to go to work every day, 7th level or whatever you end up doing with your lives, right? 7th level, continue to work there, leveling up, and maybe David's no longer VP and you guys become the VP and he's the CEO. Who knows, right? We're all leveling up, and that's the beautiful thing. The beautiful thing about this is when you first get into it, it might feel a little overwhelming. That's okay. You're going to get into a part where you're like, oh, I'm a little uncomfortable. Oh, the roof needs to be replaced, or the AC wants to play, or I don't like what it feels like to have home ownership. Well, that money that you invest into that piece of real estate, whether you're replacing a roof, whether it's the down payment, whether it's closing cost, whatever the cost is and renovations or whatever, I can promise you, you will get the money back. My investment strategy is actually very simple. I buy right and I hold forever. What I want you guys to do with your properties is hold them. Don't sell them, okay? Even though it's a primary residence and there are some deferments on capital gains, I want you to hold these things, right? Put them into an LLC, put them into a living trust. Let your kids inherit them. Let your family members inherit them. Maybe you could do something like a revocable living trust or irrevocable living trust. Another conversation for another day. I'm not going to go down that route, right? But the cool thing about this is this is going to help you catapult into financial freedom. So thinking about, you guys go to work every day, your house bills are paid because somebody else is living in the accessory dwelling unit or the mother-in-law suite, or maybe you rent it out. You have a 4-bedroom, maybe you're renting out 2 bedrooms. Maybe you keep one for an office, one for your room, and the other 2 bedrooms you're renting out. Okay. Maybe you get a 3-bedroom. Maybe you have one for your office and you're renting out 1 bedroom. You need to see what it looks like or how comfortable you guys are with taking a property, chopping it up, and creating a floor plan that works for you and your family. Some of you guys watching this might have 4 or 5 kids. I don't know. I'm not sure, right? David, he's got like 3, 4 kids, in the UK. But I don't I don't really know what your situation looks like. For me at the time, I was a single individual, so it didn't matter that it didn't matter if I took that home and then chopped it up as much as I can. So make sure you understand and you have a clear intention on when you send me your buy box, what does it need to be? Does it need to be a 3-bedroom? Does it need to be a 4-bedroom? Does it need to be a 5-bedroom? Does it need to be a 10-bedroom house? I don't know. Obviously, your average home is going to be between 3 to 4 bedrooms. Okay. Whatever market you're in. Some of the exit strategies that you're going to utilize for house hacking is going to be, the main ones are going to be MTR, midterm rental. You're going to hear the word midterm rental. That's MTR. Short-term rental, which I'm into. I'm not a midterm rental guy. Short-term rental, love short-term rental. It's cool. I love how the guest comes and goes, and you can get to keep an eye on your property. We can go through pros and cons later if this is something you guys want to get more into. Or you do a co-living style where you're actually living in the home with another stranger, somebody you've qualified. We'll talk about how you can qualify those individuals, and I'll give you guys my SOPs on what it looks like when I go to qualify these individuals. When you have a property and you're doing co-living, you're actually sharing the common areas. So those are your 3 main ones that you're going to utilize for your individual who's living with you. Now, what I want you guys to do is come up with a number in your head. What does it look like realistically? I know some people are probably newer to 7th level, or I'm not sure how long you guys been there. David hasn't given me any intel, but some of you guys might have been for the company for quite some time. What does it look like for you? Maybe let's do a really easy goal, right? For you to take 10% of your monthly earnings and you stash it away every single month into a savings account. So stop going to Starbucks, stop spending the gas in the expensive Lamborghinis. Let all that stuff come later. I promise you guys, right? Be frugal. Like, I lived my whole life before I got, get really engulfed into real estate investing. I didn't have to go out, even though I could afford it. I didn't have to go out and buy the most fancy car because those are liabilities. What is a liability? Cars, liability. You're spending $700, $800, $900, $1,000+. I mean, I guess these days the average car note on a car is like $600-700. It's expensive. But I'm saying if you're over $1,000 on your car, what's a lot of money? How can we take 10% of your income every single month and stash it away? That way you can have down payment money for that creative finance deal that I'm telling you about, or the bank financing deal that I'm telling you about. You might say to me, hey, Javier, I don't want to do a seller finance, or I don't want to do a subject to deal. We'll talk about that in a second. We're going to open up for Q&A at the end because I know a lot of you guys, I know Adrian had a question about what is his risk. I love it. What is his risk for seller finance? But what does it look like for you guys to take 10% of your income every single month and put it to the side? That way you can start buying deals creatively. We have a question that came up. Jonathan asked, is creative and seller finance, I'm just going to answer this really quick, the same thing? Yes, creative finance is seller finance or subject to. We'll talk about that at the end. I'll get a little bit more of the meat and potatoes. So take 10%. What I recommend is take 10% of your income, stash it away, and then that way you can either utilize a bank loan when you guys can qualify, or we could talk about what it looks like for you guys to start getting subject to and seller finance deals. Now, the beautiful thing about it is if you go the bank loan route, you can get in deals as little as 3.5% down. So it's barely any money, guys. It's like 1 month, 2 months of your income you can get into a real estate deal. And that deal you would house hack. All right. So let's talk about what does that look like? Does anyone have their 5-year plan mapped out yet? Or are they in a position where like, you know what? Real estate looks like it's around. Who, by the way, is anyone getting value out of this so far? Yes, no? Give me a yes in the comments if you're getting value out of this. Thumbs up from David. If I see any no's, I'm gonna go crazy. Mark, awesome stuff. Yes, yes, yes. Love it. Love it. So things you're going to leave the Zoom with is I want you to take 10% of your income, whatever that looks like. If you can do 15, 20%, that's great. But when I've worked with most people in the past, when I used to work with buyers, I don't work with buyers anymore. This is years and years ago. We used to prep people at 10% of their income. They take 10 to 15% of their monthly income and they save it for 6 to 12 months. They can get into an FHA 3.5% down loan. I don't know what market you guys are in, but the average national home value is $412,000. The average national rent is about $1,800. That's for a one bedroom. A lot of you guys probably have girlfriends or wives or husbands, or maybe a dog or some kids and stuff like that. The key thing here is we need to get you guys to have the vision of buying real estate. That way you can start getting and reaping the rewards. A lot of you guys, I don't know if you guys watch any tax professionals, a lot of tax professionals, and this is what's good about David, and David will tell you even more. He's an actual person who's getting to reap the rewards of having short-term rentals. So for instance, if you're a high income earner, a W-2 employee, and you have an STR, short-term rental, the IRS, if him or his spouse spends, I think it's 100 plus hours or more in the business, they get this huge tax incentive from the government, okay? And so here's the beautiful thing. The government, so one of the things he's utilized in his portfolio is short-term rentals, right? Not only because you're getting 3 to 4, upwards of 5x of the long-term rentals, because I always tell people long-term renting, the old school way of you know how when your grandma, your grandpa, when they did old school real estate investing, well, the old school real estate investing, the 12-month lease, there's no money in that, guys, anymore. Operating expenses have gone up through the roof. It's very hard to find a deal that meets like the quote unquote 1% rule, right? If you buy a home for $400,000, it should rent out for $4,000 a month. It's hard to find those deals anymore. We're in a climate to where insurance has gone up, taxes has gone up, everything has gone up, as you guys know. I looked at my car insurance today; it's $312 a month. It's crazy, right? So, if you take a short-term rental and you allocate, and you're a high-income earner W-2, and you allocate 100 plus hours or more into short-term rental, you get a huge tax write-off. Are you seeing that on your taxes, David?
Yeah.
You're seeing that on your taxes. So that's one tax strategy. If you have a long-term rental, guys, you don't get that same tax write-off. But being that he's spending 100 hours or more working, or him or his spouse, he can offset a lot of his W-2 taxes. Okay. Another really, really sexy strategy is every time you buy a piece of real estate, there is no other asset class that I know of in this world that not only does it appreciate, so a down market, a neutral market, a okay market, you're doing about 5% a year in property appreciation. So let's say you guys bought at $300,000 today. It's going to gain 5% this year, 5% next year, 5% the following year, 5%, 5%, 5%, and so on and so forth. One of the things that the government gives us when we buy real estate is a 27.5-year depreciation is what they call it. So think about this. When you buy a piece of property, the roof only has a certain amount of longevity on it. The cabinets, the paint, the flooring, the government gives us 27.5-year depreciation on the actual building structure, no, not the land. I'm not going to go too in depth in this because you'll start getting it as you start looking into real estate more. But my point is, what asset class appreciates and depreciates at the same time? The government gives us a 27.5-year depreciation. So these are the big benefits. So one of the things you can do and you can utilize once you start building in your portfolio is what's called a cost segregation. I think David's done 1 or 2 or 3, I can't remember. So a cost segregation study actually allows for that real estate investor to capture that 27.5-year depreciation up front. So let's talk about what that did for you, David. I think for you as a high income earner, you didn't have to pay any federal taxes on your W-2 income. Is that right?
Correct. Yeah.
Correct. So think about this. I want you guys to look at your pay stubs right now and see how much did you pay in federal income tax? And think about if you could take that money, you can save it by owning a piece of real estate. So a couple things we've mentioned here. How do we offset the cost of your living expenses? Some of you guys said you're at 18,000 a year. Some of you guys said you're at 25,000 a year. Some of you guys said you're at 15,000 a year. That's 15, 20, 25,000 per year. And then you also have your federal tax. That's a savings there as well. And then if we can manipulate the deal to where you cash flow in real estate means any money positive after operating expenses. After you've paid the bank back, after you paid the power bill, after you paid the lawn guy, after you paid Susie Q to pull the weeds, money in the pocket is called cash flow. That means you're positive, you're profitable. Any money that you get back in profit, if we could take your living expenses, either offset it by 50 to 100%, if we can take your federal taxes and offset that, right? Get that 27 and a half year depreciate. We can accelerate that. That's just one strategy. There's more strategies on taxes, but these are some of the main ones. If we could take that and save that federal tax and you get that savings as well, think about on your check, you're not going to see federal. You're not going to have to pay that federal anymore. You know, a lot of people are paying thousands of dollars for that. You're talking in 1 year, you can level up 30, 40K in your pocket. Now you have 20, 30K liquid. Now you can take that money and reinvest it. Because guys, money only works if it's moving. Some of you guys might be sitting on 100K in your bank account or $1 million in your bank account or 10K in your bank account. It looks good, but guess what? Your money is depreciating. We need to get it moving ASAP. Your money is only depreciating in your bank account. When you understand the way money moves and how you can start moving it and utilizing it into getting into assets and how you can start getting benefits of owning these assets, I promise you, you're going to be in a whole different ballgame. And when you start taking this recipe that I'm telling you about, and you do, let's say, your first primary residence, and you start understanding that recipe of real estate, you're going to call me up and say, hey, Javier, man, I'm ready to get an investment property, man. This is freaking awesome. You know, or you might say, you know what, I'm going to stick to being a renter, but I just want to own investment properties, right? So there's different strategies and avenues you guys can go down depending on what's most advantageous for you guys. I don't know what your personal goal is. You have to ask yourself, write it down. What is my personal goal? What does my next 12 months look like? Am I going to have enough capital to get into a real estate deal to where I can call Javier and say, hey, Javier, I'm ready to get into one of those seller finance deals. Do you know any tired landlords in Texas that can get me into a deal? Absolutely. The deal flow's there, guys. We can get you in the deal. I have access to deals nationwide, and I can get you guys in these deals. Don't need any banks involved, okay? So that is where I'm at far as on the house hack stuff, David. Did you want me to touch on anything else on far as the house hack?
No, I think we're coming up to the hour. It'd be good to get some Q&A going.
Yes.
I really appreciate you. Obviously, guys, this is like a crumb of information.
Yeah. If you guys like what I'm saying, make sure you follow me on Instagram and like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. I'm putting out tons of content. You guys can also see a lot of the content that I'm producing and what some of the projects that I'm working on. I'm gonna give you guys a really quick spin really quick here. One of my niches that I do right now, being that I've been real estate investing as long as I have, I deal with a lot of high income earners, right? Doctors, lawyers, sales reps. Some of my avatar people that I deal with are sales reps, high income earning sales reps, people earning 250 or more a year. And the biggest problem we have with a lot of you guys is obviously you're engulfed in 7th level, right? You don't have time, you don't have the know-how, you don't have the skill set. It takes a long time for you guys to start acquiring some of these skill sets, right? Now, a lot of these deals that I come across, like for instance, I'm doing RV parks right now, I'm doing multifamily, I'm doing storage units. You guys are probably like, Javier, I don't really have interest in any of that. When you start getting into real estate, the beautiful thing about this is I utilize a lot of people like yourselves, high income earners that need tax write-offs, tax depreciation on their taxes, and they invest in these deals that I'm buying, right? The Blackstone doesn't go out and spend 20, 30, 40, 50 million on deals on capital they didn't raise. It's all raised by human beings like all of us, right? It was funny. I was in TJ Maxx yesterday. And they're like, we're raising money for this cause and this cause and this cause. And I'm like, oh God, even TJ Maxx is raising capital. So one of the things I do actually is people who don't want to learn how to take down storage units or RV parks or maybe STRs or Airbnbs, you guys can actually invest in these deals as a limited partner with me and get a return. And we'll talk a little bit more about what that looks like. But that's the beauty. You could still take down your primary residence and become a 100% passive investor. This is another way to skin the cat where you're actually a 100% passive investor in the deals. Everything I just told you before this was semi-passive. You're not going to be 100% passive there. Being an actual LP, a limited partner in these deals where you're taking the money you're making and you're deploying it and you're having ownership in the RV park that I own, you're having ownership in the storage unit facility that I own, you're having ownership in the multifamily community that I own, that's 100% passive, right? We do quarterly distributions, etc. So one of the things I do is work with people just like you guys who are focused on your craft, which is sales, working in 7th level. So let's open this up. If anybody, real quick, if anyone thought this was valuable other than David, give me a 1 in the chat. Like and follow me on Instagram. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. Comment on one of my videos. But I'm dropping tons of content, and we're going to actually have we're doing about 2 to 3 videos a week on YouTube right now. So it's pretty cool. So stay tuned there. But let's open this up. It's 9:56. It's almost my bedtime. I think a lot of you guys might be on AZ time. Are you on AZ right now, David?
Yeah, AZ.
AZ, Mike.
Some Australians
AZ.
in the house as well.
AZ, Mike. AZ, Mike. AZ. I love it, man. Let me see. All right, so let's pull some people up. Who do we got? What do we got? What questions do you got for us or me or anyone? Is that good? That was good.
I've got a question.
Jonathan,
so how do I
know you're going to be the first one, bro, to ask a question?
I have no idea.
I like
so
the mic.
how does like, so let's say someone like let me just put this question together. It's been a long day.
No, it's all
so
right.
how do we
Take your
like
time.
manage the property, or like how does it get managed if it's like, let's say someone's in like Arizona and you're buying in like Texas or something like that?
Good question. So some of the things I tell people as a new real estate investor, it's always best to invest in your backyard because that's the market you know best. And typically you have vendors in your network. For instance, like painters, plumbers, electricians. And you might be like, you know what, I don't have a painter, a plumber, electrician, but I guarantee you have a friend, a brother, a sister, or you have your cell phone that you could pick up and go on Thumbtack or TaskRabbit and start utilizing these resources to get and build your vendors list, right? Now, if you want to do this, like for instance, I have properties in North Carolina. I don't live in North Carolina. I live in Orlando. I have properties in Jacksonville, 2.5 hours away from me. I have properties in Palm Coast. So I have a customer service team that I hired out of Pakistan, and they run all my customer service stuff. Like I handle very little response to customers because that's not the highest and best use of my time. So what you would want to do is either go on Upwork, or you can go on Upwork or Fiverr and get a VA on your team to start dealing, for instance, with tenant complaints. That's one. That's the cheapest way to do it. Or what you could do is if you acquire a property on 123 Main Street and you live in Texas and you bought and acquired in Arizona, you can hire a property manager. But if you only have one property, I don't really recommend you hire a property manager, because property managers, let's say you're renting the place out for $2,500 a month, they're going to take 10%. 10% is $250 a month, and a lot of them are shitty. They suck. Most of them suck. They have hundreds of properties, they're over leveraged, and they're not going to manage your property properly. So the cheapest way is really you going out and getting VAs to handle any tenant complaints, and to, once you build that vendor network and you have created an SOP, you can hand that off to the VA and say, hey, VA, if we get leaky toilet bowl, you call Bob with his butt crack out and have him go get the leaky toilet, right? Oh man, I'm trying to get people to laugh here tonight. But you call Bob with the leaky toilet and tell him, hey, we got a problem here, right? So you could pass the SOP off to the VA. That's the cheapest way. But again, you don't need, for one property, you don't need a whole bunch of hands-on if you're doing long-term rental. Now, if you're doing short-term rental, it's a little more hands-on. You might want to get a girlfriend or a wife and add them as a co-host, or you might want to do the VA thing that I just mentioned. You get the VAs, see, here's the beautiful thing about short-term rental. The heart and lungs of your property is your cleaning team. If you have a shit cleaning team, you're going to have a shit business. If you have a good cleaning team, all you really need at that point is a good customer service, somebody to answer and message to the messages. So if you can delegate that to a VA, you don't have to worry about being the nitty gritty. Like, oh, how do I open the code's not working? Oh, the battery door batteries are not working. Oh, whatever, all the little nitty gritty stuff, you can delegate that out. You see what I'm saying? So long-term rental, you don't really need anybody if you have like 1 or 2 properties. And I don't recommend you get a property management company for long-term rentals until you reach about, maybe I would say about 10 properties. On the short-term rental side, you're going to want to get somebody, either a property manager or a co-host or a VA involved in nurturing the guest while they're there. But here's the beautiful thing. So I have 17 properties, right? I've been in short-term rental. I've been in the short-term rental space since 2015. Just on my short-term rental portfolio, I have that many. Dude, we get like 30, 40 messages a day. It's crazy. Now, obviously, I have 3 VAs, and the VAs, the way I have them run, hired them off Upwork. They're from Pakistan. I pay them fucking peanuts, and guess what? They run shifts. So we have coverage 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Now, these individuals have an SOP for every single property. They know not to get me involved. If they get me involved for small stuff, they're getting fired quick. I don't have time for small stuff. I'm focused on other things. You see what I'm saying? So I would say get your VAs if you're going to do short-term rental, and you need to get them quick because they can handle the customer service side, because you can't be on 7th level trying to close a deal if you're trying to tell a guest how to find the code to get in, on 123 Main Street. Long-term rental, 10 plus properties, you can get a property manager.
Makes sense.
Is that too in depth?
I have a question.
No, that makes sense. Yeah.
Who's got a question?
Me, Luca.
Man, Luca, put your camera on, or I'm not answering your question.
I'm naked, Javier. I apologize.
I don't care, man. Show me your buns.
I promise. I just came out from the shower.
All right, whatever, man. You get an excuse this time. I'm only answering one question for you because you don't have your camera on.
I mean, if you want my camera on, I can put it.
Nah, yeah. See, I mess with people, so I run community calls, and people who don't have their camera on, they can't ask questions because this is interactive.
Yeah, you're right. All right.
All right. We want to make sure we set the tone.
Yeah, you make for granted that the market go up, right? How can you say that?
Look, I don't have a crystal ball, brother, but I'm going to tell you, if you look historically, if you look at historical data,
yeah,
the market has trended up historically, year over year over year. Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Right now, we're in a correcting market. I don't know what the market's going to do right now. Do I have a crystal ball? We have the election coming up. We have a lot of moving parts, a lot of funny business going on. I don't know, but I'm just saying historical. If you look at historical data, rents, you guys right now, by the way, all you guys paying rent, typical rents go up 3 to 5% a year. Okay. 3 to 5% a year. Your rent payment's only going to get more and more and more expensive. Personally, guys, I'm not a big fan of buying a primary residence if I'm having to pay the mortgage, because it's a liability to me. I want to house hack. Even the house I live in right now, I live in a luxury property. The property I live in, I house hack. I have a separate accessory dwelling unit that's separate from my home. Now, I know a lot of you guys might not get into these type of deals right away, but eventually, as you start building your portfolio, you will get there. Don't get me wrong. I had a lot of shit roommates in the past that I had to live with that didn't wash the dishes or farted at nighttime that I didn't like. Okay. I dealt with that for years. So it's not like I'm at where I'm at today. Like, I dealt with all that. So once I get that crystal ball that you're referring to, I'll let you know, and I'll shake it up and I'll let you know what I need. I'm just going based on historical data.
Sure. And when it comes to the buying in a house, right, and the cost of having a property, right? There are studies that shows how sometimes exceed, right, just paying a rent. How would you handle that?
Okay, sorry. Can you repeat your question really quick?
Must be my Italian accent. Like, usually what I hear, right, and what I've seen in some studies, right, is that having a property, right, the cost of owning a property sometimes exceed
Oh,
which
yes,
just
yes.
a rent.
Yeah. Great question. So that is true in certain circumstances. And let me elaborate on that a little bit more. Right now, if you go out and use a bank loan, guess what? You're subject to bank rates, which are right now for a primary residence are like 7-8%.
Okay.
The beautiful thing about you guys acquiring deals via subject to and seller finance, dude, we're negotiating rates. Dude, I got deals that I've bought 0% finance, 2%, 3%, 4% interest rates. So the cost of operating that asset are not higher than what it would cost to rent the property. You see what I'm saying?
Okay, because
But
you're saving on that part.
because exactly, I'm not paying high interest because I'm not using a bank. So my whole thing right now, guys, is I don't use banks to purchase my real estate, right? Especially for single family home. Now, when you get into some of these bigger deals, big multifamily, I might have to do some of the loans, stuff like that. Another conversation, another day. But a lot of these deals, they're pretty much break even. Like for instance, all my operating expenses on ownership, right? The utilities, the lawn, capital expenditures, the mortgage payment, et cetera, all the line items, and the rent payment every single month, or what I would pay for market rent. Typically, they're about break even. They're about break even. A lot of the deals that I'm doing right now. Okay. But remember this: what is the benefit of owning real estate? I'm gonna ask you that. This is a question for you.
What's the benefit?
Yeah. Why would you buy a piece of real estate? Tell me.
For a possible appreciation.
Okay. What else?
Possibly create wealth.
Possibly create wealth, appreciation. Okay, great answers. When you buy a piece of real estate, you're getting I can name 7 benefits. Yeah, you're getting appreciation. Yeah, you're going to leave something behind for your family or build wealth. But you're getting that 27.5-year depreciation. I don't know if you heard me say earlier that the government gives you 27.5 years to write off on your taxes. Not only that, your net worth goes up. Why? Because yeah, you're getting the future appreciation, but you're also getting loan pay down. Every single time that you make a payment to the bank, what's happening? That loan balance is going lower and lower and lower, while your property is gaining more and more value. See what I'm saying? You can also take the asset and you can use it as collateral. You can also take the asset and do what's called a cash out refinance. There's so many ways to manipulate real estate, and that's why it's important for you guys to get in the game. You can manipulate real estate so many different ways. That's the beauty about it. It's not like a stock. You buy a stock at 150 a share, and all of a sudden the CEO of Apple does something that no one likes, and all of a sudden that stock drops. You have no control. With real estate, you have so much control of the tangible asset, and you get so many benefits of real estate. That's why real estate investors, if you look at statistically proven real estate investors who start real estate businesses, have like a 90+% success rate. Dude, that's huge. That's huge. Anybody who starts a real estate business has like a 90+% success rate. That's how successful this asset class is, right? So remember, you're getting all these other benefits of owning real estate, not just the wealth and the appreciation. You're getting all these different benefits, a lot of benefits. So that's why you would own real estate.
What would you say is the entry price for making an investment?
It could be, well, typically if you go to a bank, they're going to charge you 15, 20 to 30% down of the purchase price. With these creative finance deals, they can be anywhere between 5 upwards to 10%, right? Depends on the deal.
5 to 10% of the property value.
Yeah, the purchase price, correct. About 5 to 10% would be your entry cost. We call it an entry cost.
Got you. Thank you. That was helpful.
Yeah, man. Nice hair, bro. What's up, man? Who do we get? Who do we got
I have
next?
a question, Javier.
Who's that?
Miles, can you see me?
Oh, Miles. What's up, brother? There
What's
we
going
go.
on?
Hey, bro. How you doing?
Yeah, how are you doing? Appreciate the time tonight.
Oh, man, no problem, man. David gave me this on the fly. He's like, yo, man, you got to get in here and start grinding with these guys, man. I'm like, yeah, man, I got you, bro. Don't worry. I ain't scared. But remember, if you don't have your camera on, I'm not answering questions. So have your camera on. Go ahead, Miles.
So I'm north of the border here, up in Canada, and I'm looking at the prices here, and in terms of like landlord laws, like it's just not appealing. And So what I'm thinking is I'm looking south of the border because something for like 575 in Orlando, that'd be like 1.2 in Toronto, Canadian.
Yeah, I know.
Right. So how, like I've looked up a couple ways in how to get into the US market without paying double the tax. If I start an LLC, then I'm not able to shift my tax credits from US to Canadian, so I don't pay double the tax. Now, this might be a different conversation in terms of like what you're working with, but how would I be able to break into the US market and do what we're talking about here tonight?
So one is we're going to have to get you a subject to or a seller finance deals. That way you're not subjective to those taxes. If you were to invest into a property in America, you would have to use something that's called a foreign national loan, which is about 30% down minimum, 30% down minimum, right? That's a lot of money. One thing I want you guys to remember, life is about velocity of money. How do you take your money, that $1, and spread it wide as possible? So the key thing here is if anyone in the Zoom call is sitting on a lot of money, or you're coming up on the next big commission check, or you somehow came up on inheritance or scratched the Powerball, you want to take that money and spread it wide as possible, right? For you, you'd want to definitely 100% no brainer get into a seller finance or a subject to deal. Remember, seller finance deal, all we're doing is creating a note and a mortgage against the property that's owned free and clear by Mr. Seller or Susie Q on 123 Main Street. And we're upgrading them from bank, from landlord to bank, and now you become the owner, right? With a subject to deal, there's already financing in place. Susie Q owns the home. Susie Q either has a foreclosure on her record or pre-foreclosure on the record, so she has financial pain, or Susie Q has no equity. So what you would do, and from coming from Canada, you don't have to use the whole banking system for you to be able to start stacking your chips, okay? What we need to do is get you in a creative finance deal. So what I want to do with all you guys who are super serious and who aren't going to kick tires, we'll create a spreadsheet and I will help you guys curate deals that you guys are looking for with your buy criteria, whatever market you're looking at, right? So we need to create bed, bath count, price point, entry fee. Don't put $1 because it's not going to happen. But that's what we would do for you because you're in Canada. Other than that, you'd have to go use a foreign national loan, which is 30% down. You have to go through the whole bank financing and stuff like that. Now, another thing I want you guys to think about, and I didn't mention earlier, because I can go on and on and on and on. One thing I want you guys to realize, make sure you're investing in states that are landlord friendly, right? You want to make sure you're in these red states, because if not, like, you will have a hassle because the laws aren't in your favor as a landlord. So make sure you understand what state you're going into and you create your buy box. Your buy box, all it is, that's what we call in real estate. It's just your buy criteria. Are you buying 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, 3 bedroom? Are you buying single family homes, multifamily home? Are you buying, what price point are you buying in? What type of neighborhoods are you buying in? What exactly, what marketing? You guys, some of you guys in AZ might say, you know what, I just want to stick to Scottsdale. I love Scottsdale. I want to be in Scottsdale neighborhood. Oh, okay, cool. Let's talk about that. So create your buy box and understand what markets are landlord friendly or not. You could Google it very quickly and I'll tell you every single market that's landlord friendly. I recommend these markets. You can make money in any market, but these are the markets I recommend. Now, if you're in a primary residence and you're, let's say, like a California, for example, it's okay. You don't have to not buy a primary residence. It's just you might want to think about your investment strategy just a little bit differently. I'm not saying don't buy the primary residence. You can still do it, still house hack, because that's the goal, to get you out of that rental. But that's what I would do in your shoes, Moss.
Easy. Thank you.
You're welcome, bro.
Okay, can I ask another question?
Because you have your camera on, yes.
Right. I don't want to sound malicious, right? You're not gonna get offended, right? You look like a tough guy.
Nah, man, you're gonna offend me, brother. I'm gonna tell you, man, I'm making it. hey, I'm making it through the war with or without you. Okay.
Yeah, for sure. I hope so. Now, what I wanted to know, right? Because you have all these beautiful deals nationwide, and no doubt that, right? For sure you do. But why would you not just take advantage of those?
Great question.
Rather than
Great question.
sell this deal to us, basically.
Great question. So a couple things. One, just so you guys know, my main focus isn't getting you guys deals. Not my main focus is me buying deals. Being that you guys are part of 7th Level and David, like, I love helping people out. So the way I get benefit is when I curate these deals, I still get paid what's called an assignment fee. Okay.
Yeah.
That can range anywhere between 10, 15, 20 grand. Doesn't matter. So I still, when I curate these deals for you guys, I still get paid for my time. Now, is it something that I'm focused on? Hell no. Because again, remember, what did I talk about in the beginning of the Zoom? I do not want to be a guy that's only as good as my next sale. And me getting out of being a realtor, I got out being a realtor because I was only as good as my next sale. So what's really in it for me is really once you get that first deal and you get the recipe, you know what's going to end up happening? All you guys in this Zoom, you guys are going to start following me on Instagram. You're going to start following me on YouTube, and you're going to start saying, oh, wow, Javier's really taking down deals. This guy's the real deal. And then what ends up happening is you start knowing, liking, and trusting me, right? And then you start coming up on money because you're killing it at 7th level. But then again, what ends up happening? You don't have the skill set or you don't have the time to start investing in these bigger deals that you see me taking down, like multifamily or RV parks or storage units. You don't know how to evaluate them. Well, guess what? That's where you now become an LP in my deals. You start investing in my deals. You bring capital in my deals. I raise money for my deals. So really, it's not about, it's us. We're building relationship here. Life's about building relationships. That's it, bro.
Yeah, I got
Is
you.
that good? Is that good enough answer for you?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, basically you pipelining us like maybe in a bigger one, right? No, it's understandable though.
Yes,
But
yes
bro,
and no.
we do sales every day, right? We gotta see who's winning. Like, it's a win-win
Look,
situation, right?
let me tell you something. Everyone in this world is in sales.
Sure.
Right? You're either selling or you're buying, period. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. You're either selling or you're buying.
Yeah.
All right. Your girlfriend wants to go to the movies tonight. You don't want to go to the movies, and she convinces you to go to the movies. Well, guess what? She just sold you. She just converted you into a date.
Yeah.
That's the reality of sales.
Yeah.
Right. So my main focus right now is buying bigger deals, raising capital. The more I get my presence out there, the more I get my brand out there, that's going to be easier and easier to do. Right. So when David invited me to have this conversation with you guys, it's like, hell yeah, let's go.
Yeah, makes sense.
Let's do it.
Yeah, so I think Luca didn't really know your relationship to me. He thought it was some random guy.
He's my boyfriend. He's my boyfriend.
Luca's
trying to give me the one-on-one 7th level tactic, like, yo, bro, like,
yeah, Javier gets paid when you buy a property, guys, the seller is the one paying the fees most of the time, right? So, for example, the seller is the one paying closing costs. So where Javier, his benefit of this, if you want to take relationships completely out of it and look at it, a benefit is that if he helps you find a deal, the seller is the one that's paying his fee and bringing a buyer.
Yeah, and even David, bro, I don't need, like, look, whether you guys buy a deal or not, I don't really care. I really don't. It's really for your more benefit. And again, it's about building that relationship at the end of the day. I don't need you guys to buy a deal. I don't need to collect a 10, 15,000. I don't. I promise. It's so you guys can buy real estate. I want to add value to you guys because when I lead with value, I will get rewards on the back end. I promise you. You see what I'm saying? That's what it's about for me. But again, full transparency. Would I get paid if you guys bought a deal? Hell yeah. I'm not going to work for free. No one works for free. You know what I mean? But we're going to make sure we curate that right deal for you. That's the most important part.
I got another question. Because I know you mentioned earlier, it's like you can choose to like rent and then own all these different properties, or you can own your own home and then have rentals, whatever it is. Like, what would like one scenario be compared to the other, as far as like what would if someone had like when would someone choose one or the other, if that makes sense?
Elsie named one earlier. Some people will say, it's way too much to own a property in that sense. And they might look at it like, hey, I'm going out, get a bank loan. I'm paying 7.5%. For me to rent this place would be $2,000 a month, but for me to own it, it's going to be $2,700 a month. That's one scenario. Again, you just have to ask yourself, is the money that you're spending on the rental That's 100% interest. That money does not get any loan pay down. You don't get any tax benefits off that. That money doesn't appreciate. Like, I guess at the end of the day, if you look at it, Jonathan, at the grand scheme of things, you're paying a mortgage or you're paying someone else's debt, whether you like it or not, whether it's your own or someone else's. You see what I'm saying? So remember what I said earlier. I have hundreds of people that go out and work for me all day long. They pay all my bills, 30 to 40%. All I am is holding the debt on the properties. I'm holding the liability. So you just have to ask yourself, what makes most sense for you financially? Okay. Because I think of it like this. All we talked about really tonight, guys, is house hacking. I can go on about way higher level stuff, but we got to get you guys to understand just the house hacking part, if that's something you guys want to do, right? If you're renting at, let's say you can rent that same property for $2,000 a month, and owning it with a bank loan, you go into Bank of America or Chase or Wells Fargo, would cost you $2,600 a month. If you're house hacking it and somebody's offsetting either 100% or 50% of the operating cost to own that property, I think it's still a great deal for you. You just have to ask yourself, do you want to be a little bit uncomfortable and have a random roommate, and or are you going to put up a wall, section off the part of the house where there's a bathroom and they have their own space, which you can do as well. See
So
what I'm saying?
if you section off like a home, would you have to install like a kitchen and everything there as well?
It depends. Some of these people, they just do Uber Eats. Some of these people are okay. Like, have you ever rented from like a hotel and a hotel has a full kitchen in it? A lot of them don't. Some of them do. So it's really important to understand who is your avatar person who is going to be renting from you in your market, right? If you're in California or you by the beach, you might want to offer some beach chairs. You might want to offer bicycles. You might want to offer something for them to like. So it's important based on the product that you actually offer to the market. It's contingent upon the avatar customer that you're going to have, right, in your property living room.
So let's say like you were Airbnb-ing it, then like you probably won't even need to add a kitchen in, because if they're just like
some of them exactly. Some people don't. Now, is that a good amenity to have? Absolutely. But like, let's say like if it's a 1-bedroom, kitchen's not really necessary. But if you have like a 3-bedroom, 2.5 2-bedroom, you're probably going to want to have the kitchen because you're going to cater to bigger groups. See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That makes sense for you?
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Appreciate that.
What's up, Sophia?
Hello, hopefully you can hear me okay. I had to leave my office. Yeah, I wanted to ask you, because you were kind of like choppy on my end a little bit earlier. So if we would want to do something like that, typically how much do we need to start, right? To start looking at any properties. I'm based in Mexico, by the way. I wish I would know that there were like other options besides the bank before, because I purchased another property and I didn't get any.
Yeah.
Like I had to actually go.
And so that's my point. Like a lot of people, again, everything's black and white. Like you think you want to buy a car, you go to the dealership. You want to buy a home, you use a realtor. No. Right? People don't teach people stuff outside the box because everyone goes mainstream. But so to answer your question, if you're going to get into like a subject to or seller finance deal, your typical entry fee, your entry cost for the acquisition of that piece of property typically is about 10% is what I see mostly. 10 upwards of 15%, but I'm seeing a lot of 10% now. So it depends on
around like 400,000.
If you have 10% of 400, it could be whatever the purchase price is. You're looking at about 10% roughly, approximately. Okay.
But typically, minimum like how much a property would be in the US, for example.
Yeah. So this is what I was saying earlier. Your medium home purchase price in the US, this is across all states, is $412,000. So you're going to want to at least have 10% of $412,000. Now, we might find you a deal at 7.5%, but I'm just telling you roughly because every deal is different. You're looking about 10, 15%. I've seen them as low as 7.5 to 5% down. It depends on the deal. It depends on the motivation of the seller. It depends on, there's a lot of little factors in it. But if you want a good rule of thumb, 10, 15%.
Okay, and if we would be like interested on like exploring like any options or something, how can we get a hold of you?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Well, you can. Did you add me on social media?
Yeah, I did.
Perfect. So you can send me a DM there. That would be the best place to communicate with
Okay,
me, and then we can.
I'm not gonna get a bot answering me.
Somebody on my team will reach out to you, and then we'll go from there. What, like, we have to have a chain of command, right? No, I'm just kidding. But no, you're not gonna have a bot. I don't have any bot in any of my chat boxes. But yeah, so we will we'll set something up, and we can further talk. But ideally, what I want to do, and for people who are serious, we can create a spreadsheet. You guys put your buy-in criteria in, and then what I'll do is I'll have my team scout for deals and curate deals and send them over to you. It's kind of like what I'm doing for David. I think I'm at like, I got David into real estate investing 5-6 years ago, and he's already at like 4 or 5 homes already. It's crazy. And he's been a VP of multiple companies. It's not his full-time gig, you know? So that's the same thing that I want to do for you guys, is get you guys rolling. So.
Thank you. I do hope I get the real Javier Paredes.
You'll get the real Javier Paredes. Yes. If I don't look the same, then it must be the AI system that I use.
Thank you.
Dale.
Quick question, Javier.
What's up, bro?
So what's up? So we need basically 40%, or no, for the seller finance and the subject to. You said about 40% down, or was it only 10%?
No, so subject to seller finance, you're gonna be around 10-15%-ish, depending on the deal, right?
Oh.
So if it's a 300K deal, like, you need to figure out like what markets you want to be in. And we obviously, I'm not gonna sell you a home in California for 300K. Ain't gonna happen, right? So whatever market you're in, you need to factor in like, what are deals costing at like bare minimum in the neighborhoods that you want to be in. You can find that information out in like Zillow in 2 seconds, you know?
Yeah.
So like Florida, in my market, the medium home price, look up, all you have to do is Google, you want to go to Texas, medium home price, Texas, Kansas City, medium home price in Kansas City. And then you can hone in and get more specific on neighborhoods if you want, but just type in medium home price. Orlando, it's $380,000. So
As I was gonna say to you, so me and my little brother, we met a investor in Miami, and she told us to invest in Miami rather than investing anywhere else. What do you think of that? Obviously, because you know more about the markets over the US. Because we don't want to go and live in the property. We just want to rent it for Airbnb and stuff like that.
Right. A couple things. One, if you're going to Airbnb, I'm going to give you the biggest time saver of your life right now.
Okay.
You need to check the zoning. Majority of places in Miami are not zoned for Airbnb, bro. So even though you go on Airbnb and VRBO and you see all these Airbnbs, people are doing illegally. You do not want to run illegal operations. You need to have a zoned area for Airbnb. So that's number one.
Yeah.
You need to make sure you're in zoned markets. Majority of Miami, a lot of places in Miami they don't allow it. Not all, but a lot, majority. It's not a, we call those markets non-short-term rental friendly markets, first of all, okay? Second of all, what I don't like about South Florida is, one, purchase prices are so expensive. You're talking your average purchase price in Miami is probably right around, I don't know, close to $1 million. So now you're talking like, I bought a property for $1 million. The PITI, which we call it PIT on real estate, that's principal, interest, taxes, and insurance. Okay. That's one payment you have to make every single month. One. And other operating expenses. So the problem in Miami is the purchase prices are too high and the operating expenses are way too high. And so what ends up happening is you can't make any money by the time you pay all your operating expenses. So another problem with Miami is insurance. Property insurance is through the roof because Miami, they have a lot of flood problems. A lot of flood problems.
Right? Hurricanes too, no?
Hurricanes, tornadoes, hail, everywhere.
But the thing is, you're talking about like properties as in houses. Like she was talking more about apartments. And then the way she told me was, because obviously you kind of do the same thing as her. So I get a perspective on you. So she mentioned $25,000 for us to be able to get residency over in Miami, as in the US, plus being able to get what's it called, like to be able to within 6 months be able to invest and buy an apartment.
And a condo. You want to buy a condo, is that right?
And an apartment. That's what I understand from what she's told me, and then be able to leverage that from the bank, like wait maybe a year or two, and then buy more property that way.
So let me make an example, Paul.
Yeah.
if you own a big building in a high rise that's 30 stories high, right?
Yeah.
And you own one unit in that building, you actually own it. It's called a condo.
Okay.
Apartment is a rental. So she could be talking about two different things. Now, there are people that do what's called rental arbitrage, where they'll rent out the units in one building. Let's say they'll rent out 5 units in one building and they'll put them all on Airbnb. Okay. That's different from ownership. They don't own the product. They don't own the real estate. What they're doing is they're just putting furniture in it and then putting it on Airbnb's platform on their marketplace in order for them to get a return on their investment, meaning just the furniture cost that they put into it. That's one way. Now, if you're going to own a piece of real estate in one of those buildings, which is a high-rise building, 30 stories or whatever, that's called a condo. I'm personally, condo. CONDO. I'm not a big fan of condos because with condos, the highest form of real estate ownership you can have is called fee simple ownership. This is the highest entitlement you can have in real estate. That means you own the building and the land below it to infinity. With condos, you own pretty much an air bubble in the air. See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
With condos as well, you have HOA fees, homeowner association fees, and you also get hit with what's called special assessment. Again, a hurricane comes by and it rips up half the building, or some of the glass broke in the common areas, or the pool got ripped up. The homeowners association, this is an organization that runs the whole entire building. They tell all the condo owners in the building, hey, we're doing a special assessment. We want 100 grand from each unit owner, and they break it up into payments. That's on top of your HOA. That's on top of your electric bill. That's on top of your principal, interest, tax, and insurance. Personally,
it's basically called like maintenance, no? Like, is that what you would call it in a way?
Your homeowners association is a maintenance fee every single month. That's just ongoing maintenance. Okay. Special assessment is an example. Hurricane comes, they hit, it rips up half the building or makes the common areas really shitty, and they have to redo the whole entire common areas. Common areas are like pool, maybe they have like a little dog park, whatever, etc. So what they have to do is they have to reconstruct those areas. If they have to reconstruct those areas, they don't pay for it out of their pocket. They're going to make all the homeowners pay for it, because technically the homeowners own the common areas on the building. Everyone has ownership of the common areas. So to really answer your question is, one, is Miami a good market? Not a big fan. Okay. Two, Miami operating expenses and purchase prices are very, very high. Anytime I'm looking at buying a piece of residential real estate, just so you know, I try to stick to as close as possible to the affordable housing bracket. So you want to see what's affordable, whatever market you're in. In my market, the affordable housing bracket's like $300,000. Because remember, anytime you buy a piece of real estate, you might want to consider selling it in the future. So the biggest pool of buyers that you can sell to are affordable houses. The people who need affordability, right? They need affordable homes. So I don't want to buy a home that's 2, 3, 4 million. I want to buy homes that are in my buy box are $500,000 or below if I'm buying single family when I buy. Okay. So again, that works for my market because I'm in Orlando. If I said that same thing in California or in Miami, that ain't going to work. So Miami, again, not a short-term rental friendly market. Operating expenses are very high and purchase price is very, very high.
Yeah.
Very, very high. You're talking $1 million, bro. So
for a condo?
For a condo, I mean, you're going to start at condo. Like, it depends if you're going to get a 1-bedroom. Depends if you're in Miami. It depends on what part of Miami. I saw a lot of real estate in Miami. Brickell, South Beach. I know Miami I'm from Miami, by the way. I don't know if you know that. I'm born and raised in Miami. I also sell real estate. I used to sell real estate in Miami. Depending on what floor you're on, what view you have, what part of the city you're in, is all determining factors on how much you're going to pay for a condo unit. A 2-bedroom, 2-bath in Miami that's in a decent building is going to start about $750,000 or above. That's $750,000. It's a lot of money.
Yeah, no. She was mentioning more about like the affordable Airbnb, so we can just kind of create a lot of volume around it. And she was she was telling me. Now I've only met her like once or twice. You might actually know her. She's pretty famous over in Miami. She said like that the return investment was like $10,000 per month sometimes, depending on like obviously the day, you know, the month, or let's say December and all that sort of stuff. So that's why I was just I was kind of looking at it.
So take it from me. I'm an Airbnb host, and I'm not deterring you from your decision at all, just so you know. I just want to shed some light on one thing. Airbnb game, the Airbnb marketplace has gotten so competitive. What makes you unique? If you have a bunch of condos with furniture in it, or you have ocean view, there's thousands of units there that have ocean views. You know what I mean? So you don't have uniqueness to your property, and you don't have uniqueness to your product. If you're going to do an Airbnb, you have to have you have to be in a market that's not saturated. Miami is saturated. Think about all the hotel rooms that are available one night. Think about all the Airbnbs that are available for one night. There's a lot of market saturation. Yes, there's a lot of demand. It's all about supply and demand, right? Yes, there's a lot of demand there for housing, for short-term housing, but the market is so saturated with homes that all have the ocean view or all have the city view. So what makes you unique at that point? You know what I mean? So if you're going to go into Airbnb, you have to have a unique product for you to be able to survive. You have to be able to give that guest an experience. And I'm not talking about them parking a parking lot, them go up an elevator to the 40th, 50th floor and see an ocean, right? That's not really an experience. You know, it is and it isn't. It's not unique enough, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So you have to have a very unique product in the market that we're in of short-term rentals, or you're not going to survive.
Yeah, fair enough.
So
Well, that makes sense.
And Paul, is she renting her properties or does she own her properties?
No, she owns her properties, all of them.
Oh,
The way she explained to me was basically invest in one, go to the bank, like remodel it a little bit, go back to the bank, and then just basically like in a year's time say, okay, look at the property value's gone up by like 200K now. Take that out. Because I think if you're a first time buyer, you only have to put X amount down for the first apartment. Is that right? Yeah. And then basically,
yeah, she's saying primary residence, buys a primary residence, primary residence loan.
And then you go and buy for like 4 other apartments with the whatever's left over for the reloan on the first apartment that you bought. She basically called it like printing money. And I was like, oh shit, okay, well let me listen to that.
So again, this is what I was talking about earlier. One of the strategies you can utilize in real estate is called cash out refinance. So as you buy, let's say you buy a property at $300,000, and we just use simple math. It goes up 5% every year, year over year. Remember, the market the last 24 months was bananas. Dude, I had some of my real estate portfolio that saw 20% increase in value in 1 year. Dude, that is nuts. That gave me so much wealth. That gave me so much wealth overnight. But here's the thing. How do you tap into that equity? You can only tap into that equity a certain way, right? You can't just say, oh, hey, bank, I bought at 300, now I'm worth $1 million, and I want $700,000 out of my property. It doesn't work like that. So what she's talking about is it being a money farm this is what I like about real estate. It is a money farm, and money does grow on trees in real estate, because eventually once you buy at 300 and it goes up maybe to 400, then 500, 600, 700, you can tap into that equity. The difference between what you owe on the property to the bank and what the property's worth is considered equity, right? The delta between A and B. So you could take that money and pull it out. We call that, in real estate, we call that dead equity. You could take that money, pull it out, and reinvest it somewhere else. And the beautiful thing about it is you could take that money and you can reinvest it into anything you want. It doesn't have to be real estate. It could be a business. It could be stocks. It could be crypto. It could be, somebody's fund. It could be so many different things. It could be you scaling your portfolio even more. When you take that money out, the bank will allow you to take a certain percent of that equity out, and they'll let you take that money and allocate it toward whatever you want: a car, clothes, watches, jewelry, your girlfriend, you get married, whatever you want. So that's what she's doing. It's called a cash out refinance. That's what I mentioned earlier. One of the beautiful things about real estate is you bought at 300, in the future it's going to be at 4, then 450, then 475, then 500. Now you have a $200,000 spread. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Now you could take that money and pull it out.
Facts. Yeah, no, that's what I was. So when you mentioned that, I was like, oh yeah.
Dude, so that's how actually I came on a lot of my wealth. Yeah. When money was the problem with that strategy right now, Paul, is again, you're subjective to bank rates. And money right now is not cheap. If you go to a bank to get money, it's not cheap, bro.
Oh yeah, no.
That's why I'm mentioning creative finance. Look, I'm trying to give you guys, instead of you guys doing all the homework and the YouTubing and the Googling, I'm just trying to show you the shortcut right now. You can
Yeah,
still
that
use banks, but I'm just trying to help you save your time, your energy, and your resources just trying to research all this stuff. The best thing for you to do is go seller finance or subject to. That way you don't have to worry about being subjective to bank rates. So that's the problem. If you're gonna do that, you're gonna be subjective to whatever bank rate
Oh, yeah. I'm
that they're.
following this. Like, before I leave, like, do you work with
Man, you
people
look
outside
you look
US?
high, bro.
No,
You look
I've been
high,
working a
man.
lot. I'm
Oh, okay.
working a
I'm
lot.
making sure you ain't smoking weed over there.
No, no, no. But like, do you work with people outside US?
Man, I work with everybody, bro. Show me the money.
Yeah, yeah. Let's do this, right? I followed you on Instagram because I'm serious, man. I'm serious, right? But of course, I'm not ready to buy, right? I need to know
Okay.
more. But I'm serious. I
Cool,
like
sure.
real estate. I'm one of the Kiyosaki guys. You know what I mean? Like,
Okay.
don't buy liability, buy assets. I just want to have
Yes.
a little more clarity. But I have this cash that I don't want to, have them like get a lot of how you call it, inflation
Right.
it.
Right.
So for sure, like if we can work something out, like according to my situation, I'm trying to move to the States, by the way. So I'm
Where
working
you
on a
living
visa
now?
already. Huh?
Oh, you're living in Mexico. Got it.
No, no, I'm Italian. I'm Italian. I'm in Mexico temporarily waiting for my visa to get back to the US. So I'm gonna
Okay.
be in the US, right?
Got it.
I'm gonna be in AZ. So possibly that's gonna be the area. Yeah,
Okay. Yeah, man.
gonna reach out to you, man. We can move
So,
in.
Luca, do me a
Yeah.
favor too. Did you follow me on YouTube?
I don't have YouTube on my phone, but
Okay. So when you get on YouTube, type in
yeah.
my information there. That way you can see a lot of the projects that I'm working on. It's the real Javier Paredes.
Oh yeah, okay. I mean, I already got you on Instagram. I think, do you have a link or something there?
The link you'll see in my bio is to my it's to one of my funnels. It's my 3-day training that I have. It's on
Okay,
it's a
I'm gonna look it up. I'm gonna look it up so I'm gonna get more indoctrinated for sure.
there you go. The reason why I say that is because obviously you're in the preliminary of like, hey, I want to research, I want to see what he's doing. Look, instead of me repeating myself, the best thing you can do is keep putting those videos on play, rewind, wait, So
No,
I
no,
have a lot
the
of
only my concern, Javier, is how to make it work with somebody that's not fully like a US citizen. That's all
do
I
you
would
know
like with you about. You know what I mean?
dude, it doesn't matter if you're a citizen or not, bro. We make it work anyway. That's what I was just telling the guy in Canada. You can still we can get you ownership here remember, we are not using banks. We're not subjective to bank guidelines. You see what I'm saying?
Sure.
So
then
I
what?
don't. So remember, if you go to a bank right now, Chase, Bank of America, they're like, "Oh, you're not a citizen. Oh, we look at you as a foreigner. You're a foreigner." And now they're going to say, "Okay, well, here's our guidelines. Oh, Luca, it doesn't seem like you meet these guidelines. We can't trust you to borrow and get you in a loan. Sorry, sir. Have a nice day." Right? It's black and white. Right? They're going to wipe their hands clean. They're not going to care. Again, with the seller finance and the subject to, it don't matter if you're a citizen or not, brother. We welcome you. You are our family. We can do deals together. Those same rules don't apply, is what I'm saying.
Sure. Thank you for
What
that. Because
what
I
about the
feel
taxes though?
Huh?
What about, well, do we have to pay taxes on that still to
Well,
like?
there would still be property taxes and stuff. Absolutely. Same rules will still apply as like property tax and stuff like that. Now, remember, everyone's tax situation is different. So I don't know, Luca, maybe he files taxes in Italy. Maybe he files taxes in Mexico, whatever. He's receiving income off the property. He would claim the income if he's going to claim it on his taxes in Italy or Mexico or whatever. Property taxes will remain the same. He's still going to pay property taxes in Florida or Texas or Arizona. The biggest difference is Luca is concerned about being in living in Mexico or not being a citizen or living in Italy and him not being able to purchase here because if he does go to a bank, it's true. They're going to look at him and tell him turn away, and they're not gonna negotiate or nothing. They don't care if Luca does business with them or not because they don't fit the parameters of the guidelines. So Luca needs to go either seller finance or subject to in order to purchase real estate, and he would just claim the income on his taxes if he's going to claim it. That's up to his tax situation. I'm not his accountant. He'd have to ask his accountant, right?
Yeah, thank you, Javier. I'm gonna reach out to you as a.
All right, buddy.
Ciao, bello.
Ciao, Velo. Ciao, Velo. Ciao.
All right, thank you very much, Javier.
All right, guys. See you later.
See you later,
Ciao,
man.
ciao. All right, bro.